welcome to Inside Eastern Utah. Today we are here with Desert Thunder Raceway co-owner Harvey Howard, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. There's some really exciting things going on out there, and we're excited to hear about it. So Harvey, you were born and raised in Carbon County. You're now retired from racing. You race both motorcycles and cars, and now you're just the owner of Desert Thunder, co-owner. You're bringing your son in.
Right, I'm kind of trying to push him into it. There's been some things going on the last few years, and I'd kind of like to get away from it. And
you want to really retire, huh?
Yes, really retire. So that's kind of the plan at this point.
Yeah.
So,
and he's pretty young, you said, only 21, right?
yes, he seems like he's older to me, but I'm sure everybody's kids seem like they're older.
Is he your oldest?
He's my only.
You're only, okay.
So he's.
I swear I expect so much more out of my oldest than I do. Sorry, Lexi. But
no extra pressure.
That's right. I just think she's, I don't know, older and more mature.
Yeah.
Right.
She should be.
Well, he's grown up around racing, so that helps.
He started racing go-karts when he was 6, and he started racing modified the big cars when he was 14, and.
Yeah, we didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I was like, well, my parents did not get me involved in the right stuff. If I was 14 and could have been going 100 in a car, I would have wanted to sign up.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, so he's been around the whole thing. He's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and he knows the stress that it takes to put the races on, and he's got a perspective from both sides of that, from the racer side of it, and seeing what we've always went through,
to make it
running the racetrack, and like you said, we've been out here since 1991, really, as an association. We started the Central Utah Stock Car Racing Association. Then we went to private ownership. Chuck Buchanan bought the track around 1998, and then I purchased the track in the year 2000, and I've been running it ever since. So, we're just, that's kind of where we're at this point.
And the county owned it before, is that right?
Yes, it was part of a co-op between the county and the BLM. The BLM had given the county a 25-year recreational lease, and so when it all turned over, the BLM turned the property over to the county somehow. I don't know if it was purchased or what happened, but then the county sold it to Chuck, and then it was sold to me.
So can you explain a bit about the logistics, I guess, of this racetrack versus others throughout the state, and maybe how they compare?
Well, Desert Thunder Raceway, our track here, is the largest of the tracks, and it's actually the fastest. The cars will move faster. It was the first one built. After we built this track, and we're fairly successful with it, and everything looked good, Uena County stepped up, and they built a track over in Vernal. Then Millard County built a track over in Millard County. They built a track up by Ephraim. And so now we're kind of spreading our people out, and having to compete for that type of support, the racers and everybody, because if somebody gives a little bit more money over here or over there for prize money, it starts pulling your people away, your racers and your spectators as well. So you've got to do it better in order to keep them people here. And I've always felt like we did a good job of putting on big shows and keeping it as fair as possible for everybody, so that they like to come back and race with us. So it's been, it's a challenge, but still, it's better for everybody, because there's more racing in Utah now than there ever has been. And when we first started, there wasn't any at all. So
we're the only game in town.
Right, especially for dirt tracks. There was the old Bonneville Raceway that was an asphalt track, and it's actually still there. and but we was the only dirt track. Moab had a track at one time. Moab was actually the first track that I ever raced on in 1990, and when I started racing cars, and it was fun. But you know, we were the first big time dirt track here. So and we're sanctioned under IMCA.
I was just going to say, you guys, all the tracks now in the state, all the dirt tracks are with an organization called IMCA. What does that stand for?
It's National Motor Contest Association. IMCA is actually bigger and has more members than even NASCAR has.
Wow.
It's on a lower level. It's a grassroots type group of people, but you know, there's over 2,500 modifieds that are signed up in IMCA. There's 3,000 some stock cars that are signed up in IMCA, and you know, IMCA's been a good cornerstone for us to use, because we don't have to worry about creating rules or making new rules. We just work with them and try and keep everybody on the same level there. So.
And the racers probably appreciate that as they go from track to track to knowing all the rules and they know what to expect.
Yes.
So
Yes, it's really good to know that you can pull into some place and race, and it's the same thing.
Sure.
You're not under a different set of circumstances one place or the other. So it makes it better for all the tracks. You can run back and forth any place really in the United States. There's IMCA tracks somewhere.
Nice.
Great.
So walk us through what it's like to keep everything kind of going. When you're having a race, tell us that whole process from your perspective behind the scenes, what it's like to get all this together and to keep it going, and then to make, obviously, the night of the event, it happens. So.
Yeah, from my perspective, the first thing that goes on is advertising. We're working up, and that sometimes starts a month or 2 months ahead of time. We're doing our scheduling. Like this, all the scheduling that was done for this year was done clear back in November of last year. So everybody knows when the races are, where they're at. We're looking forward to a big race that we're having here next week.
Yes.
The Castle Country Clash. It's the 12th annual Castle Country Clash, and we always have our last race of the year on the last weekend of September. And so, you know, it's just leading up to it is mostly advertising, getting people interested in what you're doing, finding sponsors. You know, if there's a sponsor that wants to, you know, work with you and advertise their company, you know, making sure you're getting with them, making sure that you're doing your job to get their name out there with Desert Thunder Raceway, and get that in front of them. And about 3 days before the race, 4 days before the race, then you'll start into track preparation. You would think, you know, you just go out there and you run around the track, but there's a lot to the track preparation. You know, you can't go out there and have everything dusty, you know, because, you know, you couldn't see where he was racing or whatever. So really, you've got to tear the track up. You've got to water the track. You've got to get all that stuff taken care of and packed back in so that the night of the race, you don't have to worry about it. You still have to do your watering and maintenance that way. But, you know, over them last 3 or 4 days, you're taking care of bathrooms, you're taking care of making sure that you have concession stand people in place, and that they're taking care of that. We've been lucky the last couple of years to have Jana from Sherald's do our concessions for us, so that's been great. I don't have to worry about that, and that's a big job too. You know, we just get everything ready, and everything's kind of a go, and everybody knows their job when they get there. The ones at the main gate and the pit gates and all that stuff, they take care of everything and all the lineups, and then we go through a driver's meeting. We do some hot laps, some practice laps, and then we start into the races. And usually we're running races constantly for probably 2 to 3 hours, and we run 7 or 8 classes. So we've got a wide variety of, you know, different cars, and we even race trucks and little mini cars and things like that out there, so.
And you said there can be upwards of 100 racers at this event. This is your guys' biggest event
Yes.
of the year.
Yes.
And of those 100, a lot of them are from out of the area.
Yes, especially for the Castle Country Clash, the IMCA points year is over, even though we're still sanctioned IMCA. The points year is over. All the championships outside of here have been pretty much decided. And so they can travel anywhere. They don't have to stay at their own local track to, you know, whether it's in Colorado or Idaho or wherever it is, they don't have to stay there. They can go out and travel. And so that's really a big draw, and that's been a big draw over the years for the Castle Country Clash. And you know, we'll have upwards of 100 different cars in the pits, and you know, each one of them, that's teams, and you know, they'll have 3 or 4 people that are following them, you know, either in their motorhome or, you know, cars or whatever. And you know, and what's neat is to have the families.
Yeah.
And where you see a lot of that is after the races. You know, anybody from the public, if you go in and you buy a spectator ticket, you can go into the pits before the races, and then after the races are over, you can go back into the pits, do autographs or whatever you'd like to do there. But that's where it's neat seeing the families come out of the spectator areas and talk to them and crawl all over the cars and do all that stuff. So, you know, if anybody's wanting to do that, they're welcome to do that. Come out and meet the drivers and stuff. And at that point, you're pretty much just, I'm taking a big sigh of relief because hopefully everything's went well.
It's over.
That's right.
Yeah,
Now,
and
one last thing before we wrap up. So this is on the 29th and 30th of September, the Big Castle Country Clash.
Yes.
People purchase their tickets at the gate,
Yes.
right? What time are you guys kicking off, opening the gates?
The gates will open at 4 o'clock. Races will start right around 6 o'clock.
Okay.
We'll start doing hot laps and practice right around that time. Hopefully we'll have everything over with by about 10 o'clock. On Friday night, adults are $8. 6 to 12, kids 6 to 12 are $5, and seniors are $5. Family passes are $25 for both nights, and then Saturday night is $10 for adults and $6 for the kids and seniors. So it's really affordable.
I was just gonna say,
we're actually, I think, about the same prices as we were back in
When you started.
1991.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
That is great. What a great night for your family and super affordable.
right.
So-
And if you do happen to want a pit pass, anybody can buy a pit pass, and they're only $15.
Oh,
So
nice.
Great. Well, it sounds like good times coming up. I bet you're
Yes.
excited for it to come, but excited for it to be over too.
yes, it's,
All of the work,
there's
but
a lot of nervous
Yes.
tension building up
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now to get everything done, get it done right. So.
well, this is a nice cap off for Castle Country right
I
before the
agree.
weather drops and everything.
One of
This
the
is
last
one of the last
Big hurrahs
exactly.
for the season.
So
yeah.
don't miss it. They're going to be out there racing on September 29th and 30th.
Yes.
Gates open at 4 at Desert Thunder. And come out and see all the hard work that's been put into this race to make it a great event for
Yes.
Castle Country and for the visitors. So
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us,
Yes.
Harvey. We really
Thank you
appreciate
for having
it.
me, and you know, everybody really appreciates you getting the word out for us. So
Yes.
thank you
We're
very much.
happy to do it.
Certainly. So we will be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. We will be back with more from Inside Eastern Utah.